The next thing that we're going to be talking about is categories, tags, and attributes. You might have noticed on the front section of your website we have some areas where it's not showing imagery and it just doesn't look very polished. So we're going to go through and we're going to, in addition to talking about the categories, tags, and attributes, we're going to put a little more polish on our website. We'll start off by talking about categories. If we go in the products section, you can see that I have areas for categories, tags, and attributes. We'll go to the categories section first. We already have a couple of categories that have been created, but we're going to dive in and talk about these a little bit more. Generally, categories serve as filters to group together related products in one place. And you may already be familiar with categories from just working with WordPress. They work very similarly in conjunction with WooCommerce. The only real difference is that the categories, as I mentioned, group together related products instead of related posts. So categories can provide a convenient way for your customers to filter through and find information that they would like. If you want to add a new product category, you simply add it by assigning a name to it. So we're going to make one that is called clothing. If you want to assign a slug to it, you can as well. And a slug is simply a more URL-friendly version of the name. Generally, slugs are all lowercase. Since the category name that we're creating is going to just be one word, we're not going to really worry about this. It'll automatically create the slug for us. And you can assign categories to be a parent. This category will actually be a parent, and we're going to assign some other categories to be children underneath it. It is possible that you can assign a description. Some themes will use the description, some don't. We're not going to include a description here. And then you can also choose the display type. With this option, you can choose how a particular category is going to be displayed, and you have options of default, products, subcategories, or both. We'll leave this at default. And then you have an option to upload a thumbnail. So it's a good idea to add an image for your categories. Some themes will use the images, some don't, so it depends on your theme. But in our case, we're going to add a thumbnail. And this is the clothing category, so I'm just going to add a picture of one of my clothing items. And I'm going to just click Add New Product Category. And you can now see that I have a clothing product category. I'm going to take my t-shirt category and I'm going to edit this. We've already created this, but I'm going to make its parent clothing so that you can see how this will work. And I'll add a thumbnail for the t-shirt category as well. And I'm just going to make a few more categories. So I'll go back to the categories section, and I've added another clothing item for aprons. So I'm going to have this have a parent of clothing as well. And we will have the image be our apron image. I've already set up the product page for the apron image. And if we now go into the front end part and I refresh my page, you can see that the clothing category does have a thumbnail. And if I click on this category, I'm going to go to a section and it's going to show any products that have been tagged with that category. Now, I did not assign the aprons under the clothing category, so they're not showing up here, but I can quickly and easily do that. If I go into the product page and I find my apron and click Edit, I can assign a category to it. So this one will be both clothing and apron, and I'm going to click Update. And once I've done that, if I go back to the front end portion of WordPress and refresh, you can see that both of these products are going to show up here. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to add some images to our other categories that we already have. We're going to go back into the category section, and I'm just going to add thumbnails for these. So I'm going to click Edit, and I will be able to upload images. Okay, so now I have images for all of the categories, and if we check on the front end homepage of our website, you can see that now my categories have images, and this looks much better. It also is going to tell me how many items I have within each section, so this is a nice way to organize and control the products and help with filtering down. When you have a lot of products in your store, categories can be a great way to organize the various items. The next option that we have here is tags. So if you are uploading any content on the internet, then you want to make sure that visitors are able to search it. So tags provide this opportunity to visitors. If you use tags in the right way, it can help to get ranking in the search engines, and they're an excellent source of internal link multipliers. These product tags are going to work in a very similar fashion as post tags, if you're familiar with those at all, but it is important to note that the product tags are different from product categories. So we already have some tags that we've been creating. The options that you have when creating a product tag are very similar to the category area. So you can add names, a slug, and a description, and you can add new product tags if you need to. We created all of the existing tags that we have when we were actually creating the products themselves, so you may remember that. And if you recall, when we look at one of our products, in the details, the product tags are going to show up down here at the bottom. So these can definitely help with searching. You probably don't want to add a bunch of useless tags, but it is a good idea to add tags that are relevant. And a general rule of thumb is probably about 3 tags per product. In case you ever need to delete a tag from a product or change it to something else, you would go back to the product page, and if you edit it, you can see that over here in the right you're going to have listed any product tags that are assigned to the product, and if you simply click the circle with the X in it, you can remove that particular tag. The final item that we're going to be looking at right now is going to be attributes. So attributes allow you to define some extra pieces of technical information about the product. These are things like color, size, weight. Attributes can help refine the browsing experience for your customers because they can get a better idea of the products, and ideally you're going to create them in the same way as product categories. So we're here on the attribute page. I have not created any attributes, but what we'll do is we'll create a name, and our attribute is going to be sizing, and for the slug we'll go ahead and just have it use the same slug. If you check enable archives to allow attributes to have product archives in your store, I'm going to leave that unchecked. The type field is where you can decide how you will select the attributes for your products. We can either use select or we can use text. If we use text as the setting, then you can enter the attribute manually. If you use select, then the pre-configured or default terms are going to be considered. The default sort order is going to sort the order of the terms on the front end, which are part of the attribute. So users can choose between custom ordering, name numeric, and term ID. If you choose custom ordering, then you can easily drag and drop the various terms in an attribute. We'll go ahead and we'll add the attribute. So once you've actually created a product attribute, it's going to appear over here on the right. We'll go ahead and we'll create one more attribute for color. And I'm going to add this as an attribute, so now I have 2 attributes. You can see that I have a column here for terms, which was not actually present during the process of creating the attribute originally. The terms column is going to contain the values for the attributes. So in our case, color is going to be white and black, and the sizing is going to contain our sizing items. So what we'll do now is we'll configure the terms. So I'm going to click the little gear icon here to configure my terms. And in the configure terms area, you have the option to add a new color. So we're going to add a new color for white. And the slug is just going to use the same word since we're using simple one-word words. There's going to be no items for parent or description, so I'll just click Add New Color. And then I'm going to create another color for black. And now you can see that I have white and black that are set up to be terms for my attribute. So if I go back to the attributes, you can now see that color has terms of white and black. For sizing, I'm going to add terms of extra large, large, medium, and small, since those are the sizes that my t-shirts are sold in. So if we go back to the attributes section, you can now see that we have these terms that have been created for these particular attributes. The way in which you would use attributes is you would need to set up an aside or use some sort of widget that would allow you to incorporate attributes. We're not going to be using them in this particular store, but I did want to mention them and show you how you could create them. So now we've gone through categories, tags, and attributes. For our purposes here, the one section that we were most interested in is categories, since we're using that on our home page, and that's going to be a way that we can actually filter the items in this particular store. And I will show you how we are going to just add a little bit of polish and clean up our store in another video.